Okay, kiddos, here we go with a lesson explaining the answers and solutions to this daylight cycle practice. So, first question, we have this situation. So what this is describing is we have the sun in the middle, okay, and this is the earth, and this is the earth over here. So the earth rotates around the sun, and it takes a year to do that. So this would be one location, and then 6 months later, the Earth would be over here. 6 months later, it would be over here. The Earth's axis of rotation is tilted. This is the reason that we have seasons, okay? So for this first part, draw the sun shade, we would do something like this. So this part is actually facing the sun, and so that part of the Earth would be in the sun. And this part of the Earth is facing the sun, and so would be sunny. And so if you look at the difference between these two situations, over here, the top part of the Earth is facing the sun. The bottom part of the Earth is in the shade. Whereas over here, the bottom part of the Earth is facing the sun, and the top part of the Earth is in the shade. So, label northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. Hemisphere means this is like half a sphere, okay, or half of the ball or the globe. So up top here, this is the northern hemisphere. And it's the same over here. It's the same Earth. It's just 6 months later. And this is the southern hemisphere and south. Okay. And if we wanted to, we could actually split it. That's what the equator would be like. Notice how it's tilted a little bit. Label summer and winter. Okay, so summer is when it is in the sun, and winter is when it's in the shade. So for us, northern hemisphere, this would be our summer. And the southern hemisphere here would be in winter. Whereas 6 months later, the southern hemisphere, those people in Australia and Argentina, Peru, would be in summer. And we would be in winter. And then label June and December. So if we had to choose, our summer takes place in June. So June would be over here. And then 6 months later, over here would be December. Okay, next up. So down here, this is how our solar system works. We have the sun in the middle. Earth rotates around the sun. As it does that, Earth spins on its axis like this. Spin, 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 spin. And they're not shown, but if we wanted to, we could draw it like right there. Okay. The moon goes around the Earth. So we could even draw a little, okay. So the moon spins around the Earth as Earth rotates and spins around the sun. So this Earth rotating around the sun happens once a year. Okay, and that's why we have years. The Earth itself rotates around its axis once every day. And the moon rotates around the Earth. You've seen full moon and a new moon, waxing, waning, etc. That happens once a month. So these periods of time, the year and the day and the month, we humans got from the universe around us by looking at the solar system and seeing stuff happen to us. There are other things like hours and weeks that are just conventions, things that we made up to help us keep track of time. All right, page 2. Page 2 shows us this nice, beautiful graph, so we've definitely spent some time talking about this. All of the little boxes are where we're going to fill in the blanks. Okay. So we see that we have number of hours of daylight on the y-axis, and we see that we have time on the x-axis, and time is measured in months. So first thing, I could just fill in the months. It goes December, and then January, and then February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Okay, December, let's see, so where our December would be here. I'm going to write these in. You can fill in the rest of those, but we have December, January, and February. So there's a little overlap. That's cool. Okay, so fill in all those dates, or months, excuse me. And then we see that we have some critical points here. This one, this one, this one, this one, and this one. Each of these has a name, a date, and a time. So by name, we mean what is that date called. By date, we mean approximately on what date does it happen. And by time, we mean how long is the day. So down at the bottom with a minimum of daylight hours, that is the winter solstice. I am not going to have space here, so I'm just going to say it and you're going to write it. This would be winter solstice, and the date on which this happens is approximately December 21st. And the time, the number of hours of daylight, that was 9 hours and 34 minutes, approximately, for Mammoth, okay? 9 hours, 34 minutes. And that was, what was that? That was the winter solstice. Okay. Next up, we have, this is what we just had. So this is the spring equinox. This year it happened on March 20th. For just a general date, you could say March 21st. Spring equinox. So spring equinox. Date, March 21st, and then time, that is exactly 12 hours of daylight. Our longest day of the year is called the summer solstice. The date that takes place, we could say June 21st. Again, it may vary by a couple days, but it's around June 21st. And in Mammoth, we have about 14 hours and 45 minutes of daylight. So over here, this would be 14 hours and 45 minutes of daylight. This, which happens in September, about September 21st, this is called the fall equinox. The date is approximately September 21st, and the time would be exactly 12 hours of daylight. Okay. And then again, down here, the winter solstice is listed, but you don't have boxes to fill in, so there it is. But do know that this repeats itself, right? Year after year after year. The graph keeps going and keeps going and keeps going in this, keeps going and keeps going, keeps going, like this, year after year after year. Okay. So lastly, the seasons. So this is winter. This is spring, this is summer, and this is fall. Okay, so write those words in, and very good.